Street Fighter, the king of fighting games. Sorry, KOF, but Street Fighter has just done so much for the genre. Whether that is in gameplay innovation or the general spread of its influence, Street Fighter is often the first thing you think of when you say fighting games. And it just so happens that there is a new game on the horizon. Now, I have seen the trailers and the videos showing new characters as well as the returning ones. Needless to say, I'm a little bit hyped. With all the new features that are put in place for Street Fighter 6, it also seems that there will be a swell of new players to really invigorate the fighting game scene. Honestly though, I've never been super into Street Fighter. The characters are interesting, and I do respect it. But it is only recently that something clicked in me about this franchise. And I think it's the amount of longtime fans who are really excited about this new release. And their excitement is infectious. It has got me thinking about the possibilities that could be in play. What is going to happen in the future of the game? Sure, there'll be costumes and whatnot, but I'm more interested in the possibility of the DLC that they can bring forth. You know what? I'm a creative son of a bitch, so why not pitch you a DLC list that may or may never happen? But Boingo, Street Fighter 6 isn't even out yet. How are you gonna make a DLC list? You know exactly how. First, it was the leaks. Then it was just Capcom relenting and basically saying, alright, you know everyone who is gonna be in the game. Why play coy? Here they are. And showed who will be in the base roster. All 18 of them. Not a bad number, but also not a great number. So we have a base list to go off of, as well as some definitive future DLC people. But we all know that this is not all the DLC they got planned. Not by a long shot. Hell, with the attention to fashion this game seems to play to the characters, I wouldn't be surprised to know that there are a metric ton of costumes on the horizon. But we fighting game fans are an ever-hungry bunch, always wondering what's next. And that is when companies realize DLC could be a lifeblood. And I gotta say, DLC for fighting games makes a ton of sense. New things to play with, while also keeping the game relevant for years to come. And hey, it's a better deal than buying multiple versions of the same game to get roster updates and balances like the old days of Supers and Turbos. But people like to make speculations on DLC as to what it may be. And I am no different. When my good friend Buster of Buster Core on YouTube, go follow them on YouTube, go do it, go right now. When they gave me the idea of what I would want from a first season DLC, my mind went on to rampant fanfiction. I was thinking of what would be neat for the player base, what would make sense financially, and what would just be plain cool. Why not dive into the fanfiction? So here's a proposed wave of DLC, but creativity is best when there are limitations, so only 6 picks. Why 6? It just feels like a good round number. It's also the number that Street Fighter V had for DLC packs. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. However, there is another aspect that I want to do. If they showed up in Street Fighter V, they are not on this list. Why is that? Well, Street Fighter has had so many characters that haven't made an appearance in some time. Some have only been in their debut game. Well, sure, it is good to have fan favorites return. I think bringing back and refreshing old ideas is just as valuable. No idea is without merit. But with those simple rules out of the way, here is your proposed wave of Street Fighter 6 DLC.
Here comes a new challenger!
Sometimes you could just smell the city streets. The people, the food, the lumen buildings. The city breeds a certain kind of person. People who can thrive in these environments, you gotta be a little mad. The Mad Gear Gang has given us plenty of fighters. The two most prominent in the Street Fighter series has been, however, Poison and Hugo. There have been others such as Abigail in Street Fighter V, but there has been one member of this crew that has only had one appearance as a fighter so far. Sodom, the self-taught samurai. Former member of the Mad Gear Gang, Sodom hasn't been a playable character since the Alpha series. And honestly, it would be cool to see him back. In part because there doesn't seem to be any Final Fight people on the roster yet, so giving him that spot would be a neat welcome back. There's also the fact that in the years since his appearance in the Alpha series, we've developed the concept of the weeaboo. There's a couple different directions that they can take this idea. On one hand, they can treat him like an oblivious idiot, like those people who watch 30 episodes of Naruto and think they know Japanese. Just a continuation of the joke he embodied in the Alpha series. There is, however, the complete other end of this though. makes Seldom a truly respectful individual, someone who actually went and studied the culture that he claimed to love so much. I'm not sold on either of these directions fully, but either of them could work. What's his story though? I mean, he is a defector of the Mad Gear Gang, and it does seem like they are trying to reclaim power in the city. A noble warrior, or a man who thinks he is a noble warrior, might see it as his responsibility to do something about it. And then we get one of two stories. A bumbling man trying to do good, or a wiser man seeing this as some way to make right some past wrongs. The second one might also be interesting considering his past antagonism of Cody, and how they might interact there. For his look, I really enjoy the art they made for the encyclopedia of characters for Street Fighter V. It's just small alterations, but they make a good impact. The kabuki headpiece with classic American sports gear mixed with traditional Japanese clothing items. Maybe considering the elements they are adding of streetwear into the Street Fighter 6, you could also play with how streetwear has been reinterpreting some traditional Japanese clothing, like how some people wear a kimono as a loose jacket on top as a layer. When it comes to playstyle, well, looking at the leaked character list, we look like we could use some bruisers. Just a big beefy boy who will be deliberate in speed and beat the absolute shit out of you.
Here comes a new challenger!
People always want the big popular picks. I mean, sure, they're many people's faves, and there's a reason to have them show up. But sometimes you need to bring back the ones that people might forget to try and give them new life. There is hardly a bad idea, just bad execution. So, Hakan! I know he's not anyone's favorite character, but we can fix that! Legit, he has a cool concept, using a cultural martial art that may not get the spotlight in other ways. Plus, hey, could always use some more grapplers for the people who love those characters. Hakan just has an aspect of his vibe that I just like. Sue me, I am one of probably like 20 Hakan fans. He's a good man who's just really good at his sport and wants to show it off to the world, and be a good father and husband. He's just a good oil man, what's there not to like? In terms of design, I don't think there is much that needs change, especially considering he's wearing traditional clothes that are used in the sport. Alternate costumes might be interesting though. I think the big thing would be just seeing him in new art style. For a similar reason, I don't think there's any need to change his basic moveset. Again, just minor updates to fit within the macro mechanics. I just think it's a shame to not give characters like this a second chance. There is potential here for a character that can really connect with people, and I can see people gravitating to him, especially with the rise of himbos. While he doesn't fit 100%, he has that good-natured vibe and oblivious optimism that really works with it.
You know, thinking about it, there could be an amazing redesign here.
Okay, so follow.
We have already seen that Hakan has an olive oil brand now, as there are ads for it all over Metro City in the trailer. What if Hakan's like a wholesome influencer, going around promoting his sport, his oil, while also giving sage dad advice? Maybe lean into the hot dad kind of thing? You could even add a Dan-like taunt that involves live streaming the fight that he's at.
Here comes a new challenger!
Well, are you ready for a third strike? You know, it's a little odd that this game coming after Street Fighter 3, that there are no 3 characters in the game yet. Well, let's fix it. Elena got her start in the first version of Street Fighter 3. New generation. A fun, young, spunky girl who fights with capoeira. She is probably best known in that game for her beautiful and detailed neutral animation that took full advantage of the hardware. But thankfully, 3 wasn't her only appearance. She did show up in Ultra Street Fighter 4, so she is popular enough to make multiple appearances. Good, that means people like her the way she is, so I don't have to come up with an imaginary design for her to make her interesting. Really, she's just a fun character that people would probably like to see come back, especially because she didn't return for 5. A big bonus could just be seeing her in that new art style with the new costume. Imagine how, with the new engine, how it treats fabric, how it can interact with her animation. Because yeah, they totally have to keep that. It just shows so much personality. Plus, she could really easily fit in, seeing as her story in 3 had a lot to do with her meeting people and becoming friends. Imagine she shows up in Metro City and clicks with the good guys on the roster already there. Not only that, but interacting with the creative character in the World Tour mode of the game, and getting to befriend her.
There could be more to that too. As she has already been in exchange students once before, why not study abroad in Metro City? Maybe she looks less bikinis and more sports bra and running shorts? Or some other kind of hip fashion.
Plus, To be completely cynical, Capcom would love all the costumes they can sell for her. Capcom's gonna Capcom.
Here comes a new challenger!
When coming up with a list of DLC characters, the thought did occur to me. Maybe I should make a brand new fighter. I mean, this whole video is just a ripoff of Thorgy as it is, so why not follow his lead on the idea that introducing new characters in DLC could be a chance to do something out of the ordinary. The only problem is, who and how? Okay, that's two problems, but you know what I mean. Firstly, on the how. See, Street Fighter has pulled characters from other Capcom games to put them in a shared universe, from the likes of Cody and Poison of Final Fight fame, or Akira from Rival Schools. The problem here now is the fact that there hasn't been a new continuing Capcom game that might fit in with the Street Fighter vibe. Is there nothing we can do? Well, why not take a side character and try to put a little shine on them? Because Street Fighter's had plenty of those. Now we just need to pick one. And who could it be? I mean, there is this cute, punky goth girl right here from the game that technically comes before this one in the timeline. I don't know, maybe she might fit. Effie is the girlfriend of Necro, always being in the intro bits for Necro's fights. She always seems to be the one there for him despite what's happened to him. Full of personality and potential. And come on, who doesn't like goth girls? No real need to change her design any, because it already has a solid look. Plus, I'm tired of Goth Alita, and she does not have that vibe. Because when designers want to go goth, sometimes they immediately go to Goth Alita. I would like to see more of the subculture. But how will she play? Well, in a good chunk of her art, she has a chainsaw, so why not use that? Say, make her something of a stance fighter with two modes, one where the chainsaw is off and one where it's on. It may create some interesting dynamics on how things work and how you would have to respond to them. As for any kind of story, well, we haven't seen Necro in quite some time, so why not play into that? What if Necro is missing and she's on the warpath to find him? That way, if you do introduce him later on, the audience has an attachment to him through Effie. Plus, again, imagine the costumes Capcom can sell for her. It seems like a really good business idea. Capcom is going to Capcom.
Here comes a new challenger!
In the bowels of lore, there is one man more mysterious than most. He appeared one day, only to never return. We are only left with a simple question. Q has showed up for one game. Only one game. We know nothing. He is an enigma. Maybe it's time we get some answers. I'm not picking this guy out of whole cloth, as I have made reference to the fact that a lot of this video is inspired by Thorgy and his content. By the way, go subscribe to him, he's great. This pick is in the list is inspired by the variety of speculation he has made on the possibilities of Street Fighter 6. Bringing back Q would be a fascinating link to the 3 series of games. And the new context we will see him in can only make the imagination go wild. See, this game comes right after the events of 3, meaning that 4 and 5 came before. And in 5, we did see some hints that maybe something's happening. In that game, we had G, another mysterious man with possible links to Q. Now, I have no thoughts on how they are connected, but I would love to see the storytellers tell that story. But there is another connection here that needs to be brought up. In the leaked and then confirmed through the intro screen roster, we see a man named JP, a common initial that people often go by. Nothing weird to see here. However, he is a tall, slim man in a suit with similar proportions to Q and G. He also has a moment in the intro screen where he looks down and even resembles G. And considering the fact that his name is just letters, it can lead one to speculate. I think Q could add some major interest into the whole proceedings. But in terms of looks or play, again, why fix what's not broken? His look is simple and iconic. Some minor tweaks and the new art style and the RE engine could probably be all you need to make him pop. Or make him ragged, like a robot that never stopped. Or like Jason, but gonna punch you instead of kill you. His gameplay is maybe even a simpler concept,
Like the World Warriors, just give him his basics and maybe a few more tools. Something along the lines of like a rampaging machine. Hard to start up, but also hard to stop once it gets going. Part of me feels a little odd making this video. You know, seeing as I'm an extremely casual fan of the Street Fighter franchise. You know, get someone here who knows these characters, this world, has a love of these games. Then I thought, duh, Buster's the one who even suggested this idea in the first place, so why not give them this final spot? So, take it away, Busto.
Here comes a new challenger!
Thanks, Boingo. Now, Street Fighter 6 looks very exciting, but with how much urban influence it's taking from Third Strike, it's weird we don't have any Street Fighter 3 characters to represent here yet. So, to close out this theoretical DLC season, let's bring in one of the most iconic Street Fighter 3 characters to 6, Sean Matsuda. To some, Sean might seem like a low-tier joke fighter similar to Dan Hibiki, but he was actually a very competent character in Street Fighter 3 Second Impact, before Street Fighter 3 Third Strike nerfed him hard. Even after the nerf, people still rallied around him because they love his charisma and passion for fighting, so let's bring him back with a few tweaks to his moveset. Now, Sean is very skilled at basketball, so along with his usual Shotokan fighting style from 3, let's add some basketball abilities to his repertoire of moves. Think LeBron James in Multiverses, with stuff like his Fireball being a basic toss of the basketball, or his Dragon Punch being a slam dunk. And that's what I want to see out of the Street Fighter 6 DLC, so let's toss things back to Boingo, shall we?
Thanks, Bust. Everyone, be sure to follow them. All their links are in the description. Look, we can't predict the future. This is a glorified please give list. But the fact that people are getting excited enough to make a list like this is a good thing. Street Fighter 6 seems like it's going to be trying a lot of new things out. And that is riling up the internet in a very good way. This is not the feeling of, ugh, a new Street Fighter. I guess I gotta learn it. It's more like, yeah, a new Street Fighter. I wanna learn it. And while if I can add to the excitement in any way with my silly little fanfiction ideas, then I'm glad. But hey, did you like the video? Then you can always subscribe for more. Ringing that bell will also be sure to get you notified when a new video is released. Comments and likes are also greatly appreciated. Follow me on Twitch. Hey, there's a Patreon link down there as well. Good lord, the fact that we have to do that. Well, until next time, let the days be good.